All right, 3, 2, 1. Side note: I actually do like the idea of Obi-Wan as Christopher Walken with Yoda on his hand.
That is so irritating to me. You have no idea. You're just trying to bug me now.
Do you remember when I made you watch? Do you remember when I made you watch like Revenge of the Sith at like a little bit fast forward?
Yeah, you got me that sweet bootleg copy, and you put it on like 1.1 speed. So I was like, I'm gonna get the chance. I'm gonna get the chance. Send the ship right there. I'm like, it was crystal clear, and I'm so grateful that he got it for me. But I could just see him. He's laughing at me, right? And the back of my neck is getting red and irritated because I'm just like, okay, leave the house now. I just want to watch this like 30,000 times.
You think you can land it? What kind of pilot are you? I'm one of the best kind of pilots in the galaxy. Come on, buddy, let's go do it. It's like an Abbott and Costello routine. We want an Anakin.
Oh, who's there? I'll see you. Oh, never mind.
I don't know. What do you think, buddy? I don't know. Let's go ahead. It's like Terrence and Phillip meet Star Wars. It's great. So here we are, another GamerCast.
Heyo.
I'm Rob McCallum. With me, once again, video game rockstar Jay Bartlett.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
And producing this episode, like all the other ones, is Glenn Stanway.
Greetings, my friends.
So today we're going to talk about Nintendo. Big shock. That's what the NES Club deals with a lot. That's what we talk about a lot. So here's the quick question off the top, just for you guys. What character in the Nintendo universe would you guys like to sit down and have a drink with?
One that talks. So unfortunately, that wouldn't be Link. Because he really doesn't say anything.
It'd be a very one-sided conversation.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be an interesting time, though, to see what he actually had to say? I mean, that's like an SNL skit, right? Like the first time the character talks, what is he actually saying? What kind of a disappointment he is?
If I could sit down with one character and have a drink with them, it would probably be...
From the Nintendo universe. Yeah.
Oh, wow, man. I'm just going to throw it out there and I'll say Solid Snake from Metal Gear, huh? Yeah.
Okay,
Snake.
and I'm immediately saying Glenn cannot say any Metroid
Oh,
references.
son of a...
Metroid Glenn.
Zero-
You cannot reference...
Zero Suit Samus is out, then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's not allowed.
Wow. Fox McCloud.
Oh.
I think there would be interesting stories. As long as Slippy wasn't there, I would be totally okay with that.
Was this not NES games, though?
Well,
No,
you just said Nintendo Library,
Universe.
right? You didn't even pick a Nintendo game.
Oh, I thought
I
you
said
said
Nintendo
NES.
Universe.
Oh,
No, I said
okay.
Nintendo Universe.
Okay. Well, you know what? Snake was still in Smash Brothers, so counts.
So why Snake? Why Snake?
Because I would ask him, I'd be like, Solid Snake, sir, let me ask you this.
Because you'd say something to me and repeat it slightly after you said it.
You'd be like, yeah, you do it. So you be Snake. Okay, you be Snake, and I'll be me.
Okay.
Okay, and I
But
would
you
say,
have to be Snake as Christopher Walken.
I don't know if I can do that.
No, he's got to do, just let him do Snake on his own, because he's good at it. Okay, so like, hi, Solid Snake, I'm Jay.
Jay, huh?
That's right. And I want to ask you a question, Solid Snake.
A question, huh?
That's right. My question is this: why is your password so difficult to write down and remember?
Why is my password so difficult to write down and remember, huh?
That's right. Zeros are O's, O's are zeros. I can't tell, and I always screwed it up as a kid.
Why are you calling me brother? Who the hell are you?
That's good. Rob, what about you? Who'd you pick?
I would probably want to sit down and have a drink with like Mauser or Wart. And be like,
oh, listen to you. Give me a break.
like, how do
Mauser
you feel
or
about
Wart?
being such a discarded villain in like the biggest platforming series of all time? You're one-hit wonder, never mentioned again. You're clearly in a bar drinking all the time, so this scenario in this setting is quite familiar to you, I'm sure. Why?
Why did Birdo make it out of that? Birdo and Shy Guy squeaked out of that game. Okay, they're in Mario Tennis
somehow survived.
and Mario Kart and this and that. But Ward is so damn cool, and Mouser is awesome with like the Hitman Heart glasses, right? He's not in anything. He's not in anything.
That's what I mean. How does he feel about that? What happened that Birdo, usurped him and got out of that alive?
I don't know.
That's what I would
why
ask
Birdo
him,
made it. Yeah, that's a good answer.
I feel like Wario could probably hold his liquor.
Yeah. See, I think Wario would get drunk and just be abusive though. He seems like a kind of abusive dude. I don't know if I like that. I don't know.
I think Little Mac might have some interesting stories.
Yeah, Little Mac, that would be good too. I want to change my answer from Solid Snake to Little Mac. Can I do that? I'm doing it.
You can do whatever you
I
want.
think you just did. You
Yeah.
just did. So why Fox McCloud, Glenn? Why would you want to have a drink with Fox McCloud?
Because he's a talking fox and he flies spaceships. And I feel like that's an entertaining evening.
You want to be like, do you want to be my friend / pet? Because that would be awesome. My pet shoots laser guns.
That's slightly weirder than what I had in mind, actually. But I just like think of the stories, man. Like you'd hear epic war space stories.
Sounds
with
like
a
it would be
talking fox.
boring after a while. It'd be like as soon as he was done one,
Well,
you'd
you
be
said
like,
have
okay, nice meeting
a
ya.
drink with. Okay, well there. You
Yeah,
go.
but he wouldn't let you go. That drink would turn into like 10, or you'd be sober because he'd just keep going on and on about his space animal friends.
Yeah, but I would ask him. I'd be like, dude, Star Fox Adventures was amazing and underrated.
happened?
How do you feel about that? That's what I would ask Fox. Yeah.
I'd ask him to do a barrel roll repeatedly.
All right then.
So moving on, I guess in line with that, because we all want to hear what stories these characters have to say, more or less, and hear their side of it. What game? I guess maybe this isn't moving on. What game do you guys wish out of any Nintendo system? Okay. What game do you wish had come out for whatever Nintendo library or system that didn't come out? You know what I mean? So, for me, I wish there was a Super Mario Brothers 4.
Oh,
on the
you,
NES.
and then again, you steal my answer again. Like that is my idea. I've had that idea for like 20 years, man.
Okay, so this is what I say then. I say that Mario All-Stars should combine all the different Marios and all the power-ups.
Oh, that's
And
it.
all the
I'm
different
about
eras.
ready to walk off this show because that's ridiculous. That is my idea. We have a character select screen, and you can pick any Mario from any game to play through all the worlds. That's my idea. This is BS,
That's
man.
actually a pretty great idea.
I'm the star of the show.
How'd you come
this
up
is
with that,
my
Rob?
show.
I just thought one day that it would be really good
That's
to
a great
do
idea,
that.
Rob. How'd you come up with
So
that?
I
You
thought I would
completely
share it
on
with
your
the world.
Without Jay's input.
I thought I would take this platform and share it with the world. So that's what I did.
Oh goodness.
So Jay, what's your answer? What game do you wish had come out?
I'd like to see a proper third Contra. I don't mean the Super Nintendo one, and I don't mean Contra Force. I'd like to have seen another Contra on the NES. And again, it's tough to say because we did get one, but it was just on the next platform. But I'd like to see an 8-bit third Contra.
Yeah, it's like Ultimate C or something.
Yeah, I mean, Contra Force was obviously, a different game entirely. Like Super Mario Brothers 2, Rob. But anyway. Yeah, I'd like to see a third Contra on NES. I think that would be sweet. Yeah.
Glenn, I have a feeling there's going to be some sort of Metroid answer.
You know what? I'm not going to say Metroid because I feel like if I say that I wish there'd been a third console Metroid game, I feel like that would have had to have shown up on the N64, and that game would have been awful.
No. But you could say like a sequel to Super Metroid.
Well, what I will say is this: I would have preferred there was a second. Like I would have preferred the actual Metroid sequel was a console game as opposed to the Game Boy game. Like I wish Metroid 2 was actually like either an NES or an SNES game. Yeah.
Right.
And the other one that came to mind was Nintendo Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the PlayStation one, but the actual original Final Fantasy VII that was originally slated to be a Nintendo release.
I guess in the same lines, I'd love to see the actual Final Fantasy stuff come out for the NES and for the SNES that only was released in Japan.
Yeah, man, that's a really good one. One just popped
Jay,
in-
here's one for you, Jay. Just before I forget, man, I'm so sorry, but I know you're going to want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay? Perfect Dark 2, N64.
Yeah, again, I have NES on the brain, so I was just thinking NES stuff. But yeah, I mean, Perfect Dark 2. One of the greatest tragedies in the history of video games is Nintendo and Rare not meeting in the middle for when Rare's contract was up. You know, Nintendo let them go, or Microsoft bought them out. Whatever it was, Microsoft acquired Rare. And, you know, the company's not the same as it was, but, man, can you imagine, eh? Or like a GoldenEye. I know there wouldn't have been a GoldenEye 2, but Rob, you'll know this. What was the sequel to GoldenEye in the films?
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Okay, so I remember a bunch of us went to the theater to see Tomorrow Never Dies premiere day.
Yep.
And there was one reason we did it, because we loved GoldenEye so much. We watched that movie and we were picturing what the next N64 game would have been. So yeah, I think, I mean, it's in the same vein, a Perfect Dark sequel or a Rare Bond sequel.
I was thinking older consoles too, but the other just you moving forward slightly, Jay, also got me thinking. I would have loved to have seen a sequel to Eternal Darkness. I would have loved an Eternal Darkness sequel because man, I love that game.
Yeah,
and I know they were trying to crowdfund one, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. But like
that's too bad, man.
An actual full-on sequel to TED would have been really exciting to me. I dug that game so much.
I was just gonna say too, Rob. One I was thinking of was a sequel to Little Samson on any platform would be incredible. The game is so underrated. I mean, it's gaining popularity now over the years due to rarity and such, but the game is great. I mean, it plays like Mega Man. That would have been a great sequel.
I would like to, I mean, obvious answer time from Rob. DuckTales 3, Rescue Rangers 3. Or, you know, like, how about like a Gummy Bears game? You know, or like, I guess they had a Gargoyles one. Just anything Disney Capcom seems, for me, to be a good thing.
Gummy Bears? No. Can't agree with you there.
Well, it's pretty good. Pretty good show.
No.
Pretty good. How about just give me a Disney afternoon Capcom, like, mix and match all the characters Smash Brothers style into one platforming adventure. That's what I want. How come that didn't come out?
Yeah, so let's
We
take
got
like
Darkwing Duck,
the all-star Super Mario thing we were talking about, and have like the game laid out for you, and then the character select screen. Yeah, you can pick Chip or Dale or Scrooge McDuck or Mickey Mouse, or that'd be sweet.
I mean, at least Darkwing and DuckTales had crossover characters and episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the deal? At least make that happen. Moving on. Best and worst thing Nintendo has ever done across any of their systems.
Like best or worst title, or just best or worst thing, period?
Thing, period. Whatever you want to decide. When you hear Nintendo and I say, what's the best thing or what's the worst thing that they've done, what are the first things that jump to mind and why? And so help me God, if somebody says Virtual Boy, I swear to God.
The best thing Nintendo did was bring back the video game industry from the brink of death. I mean, single-handedly, and that's all due to Super Mario Brothers. There's absolutely, I mean, that's fact. Without Super Mario Brothers, none of this would be here right now. Or if it was some other company, it would be very different than what it is today. I mean, we owe everything to Miyamoto. I mean, Nintendo's greatest creation is Super Mario Brothers. Period.
I can't argue with that, honestly. That's I could not think of a...
Yeah.
The only other thing I could say that I think would maybe compete with that is getting their hands on the license to Tetris to allow Tetris to be released in North America on Nintendo consoles exclusively. That would be the other thing that would come to mind. I think just becoming the proprietor of Tetris on the NES and then the Game Boy, because I mean that thing single-handedly sold Game Boys. I think from a business perspective, that's one of the best business decisions they've ever made, or accomplishments.
I think the best thing that they've done is be able to bring people together, time and time again. NES bringing families together, N64 bringing people together, Wii. Again, people of all ages coming together just to play games. I think that's the best thing they've done.
Out of all their systems, I would agree. The ones that stick out the most for me are 64 and the Wii, of course. I mean, For the three of us, I think I can say the 64 mostly. You know, that's the one that really hits home as far as being in the same room with your buddies. There's, again, so many great titles on that system. I would agree with you, Rob. That's a good one.
So
Worst, oh man. Nintendo, in my opinion, have made some poor choices, but I mean, it's like you can't crap on them for it because it's hard. You're gonna have to give me a minute to think about that one.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is like the best things that they've done are so much better than the good things some of the other companies have done.
Yeah.
But that's because I think they're willing to take that risk, even though they may fail more times than they succeed with some of their ideas. So,
and that's why people are so quick to make fun of Nintendo. I mean, they made fun of the Virtual Boy. They made fun of the Wii. I mean, do you remember the first time you heard the name Wii? Like, the console is going to be called the Wii. I was like, are you serious? Like, it's called the Wii. It makes no sense.
I feel like the worst thing Nintendo's ever done would be, there's two things that come to mind. One would be not making the Wii a high definition system, like not making the Wii something that's capable of outputting graphics in high definition. I think waiting to get to Wii U to kind of introduce that particular advancement made them late to the party. And the way they've handled online has been absolutely atrocious. Like, they've really missed the boat on online.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
But how can you say like the worst thing Nintendo has ever done is something to do with graphics?
Because
I can't buy that. I mean, regardless if it's cost them sales or not, that can't possibly be the worst thing Nintendo has ever done. Because the Wii was clearly a success without HD graphics.
Yeah, but it didn't have longevity because it couldn't compete with the other consoles on the market in that respect.
It didn't need it. It outsold both of the other consoles with 100 million units.
Yeah, and where are they now?
But it doesn't matter. I mean, you want to compare generation to generation. The Wii outsold those ones, and it didn't need the technical firepower. Now, if you want to talk about the Wii U, which does have the HD, and it is on the level of the other ones, and it is, failing by numbers. So what good did that do them?
Because
they spent the time to have the same graphics, and they're lagging behind.
But my argument is that's the issue. Like, the Wii U came out, and it felt less like an actual new console and more of like an incremental upgrade over something they'd already released. I mean, they still don't have, like, there's 32 gigs of storage in the highest end
the
Wii
deluxe
U.
one, yes, 32 gig, yeah.
And you want me to download all this stuff and then not have anywhere to put it? Well, I mean, yeah, I can get an external hard drive, but I have to.
Well, that's a whole other issue. I mean, now we're not talking about HD graphics. I mean, that's a ripple effect of it.
I think ultimately what I feel like it comes down to is I think they made some not terribly forward-thinking decisions regarding their hardware in a very general sense, and those are a couple of things that come to mind in context to it.
I will agree with you, Jay, and I'll let you jump in here because I know you're very passionate about it. One of the things that is counter to the thing I said that they did best was bring people together. And unfortunately, Glenn, you nailed it, man. One of the things that has been driving people apart is their online capabilities. It is so unnatural to do Nintendo Online. Jay, you know and have a lot of opinion on this, so go.
Yeah, I won't do it. I don't like the whole friend code thing. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I don't like online gameplay in general. I mean, I do it, like games like Titanfall, which I do love, and Halo, and Uncharted Online, all that. I do it because that's the way it is now. If I want to play with people, that's the way it is for the most part. I'm not a fan of Nintendo Online whatsoever. I will say, now I have to really word this carefully because it's almost a contradiction in terms. So Nintendo has to do what Nintendo does, but they have to do more of it. Meaning, I need more than one Mario Kart game in a generation. So if you're going to make a console life cycle 6 years long, I want more than one Mario Kart. I want more than one Smash Brothers. And at the same time, on the other side of the coin, I don't like saturation. So how there's an Assassin's Creed game every year, I don't like that. So it's a very delicate balance. But I think Nintendo has to do what they do best, and that is produce their first-party titles. We just need a little bit more. Because right
Well,
now,
I mean, yeah.
as it stands right now, if you're a Wii U owner and that's all you have, and you're a hardcore gamer, I think you're hurting. I really do. I mean, you can go onto the eShop and download Super Nintendo stuff and 64, and that's great. But really, I mean, you know, they get Assassin's Creed 3 and like Mass Effect 3 like a year or 2 years after it's been on PS3 and 360. They need to be coming to the plate with their first party stuff in greater quantities. Does that make sense? Without oversaturating it.
We've touched on this once before. I think probably the magic formula for you would be most of their first party stuff gets a sequel, kind of like the GameCube and Wii stuff. You know, there's Mario Galaxy 1 and 2.
Well, they did
Zelda
it great
games.
with the GameCube stuff. I'm not, or sorry, with the Wii Galaxy. Yeah, I mean, they brought out 2 of those, and I'm not saying they don't do that, but a lot of their franchise, like I mean, Metroid, we saw 1 on the Wii. Do you know what I mean? Well, you don't really count Other M, do you?
I try not to.
Okay, so we don't count that one. You saw 1 card game, and I mean, they're not difficult to make. You know what I mean? I mean, we could sit down here and come up with 1,000 amazing levels and 1,000 characters to put in those games. So I'm sure they can too.
I think for me, what it comes down to is like I don't think you're wrong in the respect that I think they need to release more first party stuff. But I think, like, my concern is, I don't want to see Mario Kart turn into Call of Duty, and like every fall I can expect one.
Well, that's
to come
what I
out,
meant.
right?
I mean, you have to be careful.
And I think
right?
what that means is, like, Nintendo's got to create some new IP. Like, I think they have a lot of really great classic characters, and that's fantastic. And I love that they keep counting on those characters to help bring people back. But I mean, I think they've got to innovate and create some new content as well. Like, they've got to create some new franchises. Like, they've obviously got a great brain trust at that place, and they're capable of creating amazing games, and I think it's just time to look for some fresh ideas as far as that stuff's concerned.
Yeah.
So it's super. Go ahead, Jay.
I was just gonna say, I think the worst thing that they've done is not really the worst thing they've done, but I would have to say, if that makes sense, I would have to say it's not giving us more of what we want, which is their first party IPs. I think we need a lot more of them. If we're just going to buy a Wii U by itself, I need more of that. Because let's face it, we're not going to play Call of Duty Ghosts on our Wii U. Do you know what I mean? That's not what Nintendo's about.
I think it's hilarious, and maybe not, because we're all passionate Nintendo fans, and there's a lot of passionate Nintendo fans out there, and we see people come up every week with a new way to save the system, but we talk just now about something as broad as the best and worst thing Nintendo has done, and almost instantly, when we talk about the worst thing, we're gearing right towards the Wii U. Whether it's the late implementation of HD graphics, whether you're on board with that or not, the online capability, the lack of storage space to support the online world if you choose to venture into it, or just the lack of software on this console. So I don't want to be the negative guy to say, man, the Wii U is the worst thing Nintendo has done, but right now, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's certainly anywhere near the best thing. It's definitely on the lower end, and I'm a fan of the Wii U.
It's confusing. I mean, you talk to a lot of gamers, and that's what you hear is it's confusing. They shouldn't have put the name Wii in it, and they did it so you know that you can use all your Wii peripherals, which is great. But I mean,
but they didn't call it the GameCube 2, right? They didn't call it the GameCube U or whatever. When you could use all your GameCube stuff on the Wii.
The first player gets the really cool new tablet-style DS touchpad controller, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the second player gets a Wiimote. Or a classic
that's
controller.
That's totally counter to the Nintendo experience. There's an exclusionary element instantly the second you want to play with people in the same role, which sucks.
I think what they're doing is that all the people, all the parents, all the grandparents that they got to invest in the Wii, they want them to be okay. It's like, you know what, all those controllers you bought, you're still going to be able to use them. I get what they're doing, but I mean, even the very first hardware tech demo they showed of the Wii U, I didn't understand. They were showing some golf game, and the guy had the Wii U pad on the ground, and he was looking down like you're teeing off, and you saw the ball and the tee on the screen, and then he's using the Wiimote to tee off. And I remember just thinking, I don't understand what's what this is. I don't understand what's
and
going
I got to
on.
tell you, man, I've done that, and it's strange to have to manipulate 2 different controllers in a physical space and orientate yourself to get that to work. It is confusing.
I just want to play Zelda. I just want to play Mario. I want to play what Nintendo is known for, because that's why I love them. And I'm not knocking them for trying new things, because they're innovators. There's no doubt. Everyone copies Nintendo and does it poorly. But
this is them playing it safe. That's the problem. They're playing it safe with the Wii U. This is the safest, most conservative thing they could have done. Let's do exactly the same thing with a little bit of polish. And when has Nintendo ever done that as a philosophy?
Yeah. But it's come off confusing. Yeah, you could say to some extent they've alienated the hardcore gamer with the Wii to get the casual gamer, which they most certainly did in numbers. And now it's kind of like they don't know which way to go. The launch titles were, Assassin's Creed 3, Mass Effect 3, you had Black Ops 2. So they're trying to get the hardcore gamers in, and then at the same time you have all these, Just Dance and all that at the same time. So they're trying to get both back, and neither one is coming back, do you know what I mean, for the most part.
So a lot of people, again, are eager to save this system, and some of the stuff that I see out there online is, will a lower price point be the key to saving the Wii U? And I think everything we've talked about says no. Glenn, where do you weigh in on this discussion?
I don't think a lower price point has anything to do with it. I mean, I think that price point looked a lot worse in relation to something like the PS4 price point when Sony announced that. But the issue is the games. It really, really is. And Jay's right. They almost. There's a lot of confusion around what that audience is right now, because if you own a Wii U, you almost certainly own a Wii U because you are a longtime Nintendo fan and you like the games that they make. I bought a Wii U, and I bought a Wii U for games that aren't out yet. I bought a Wii U so that I could eventually get a new Smash Brothers, I could eventually get a new Zelda, and I could eventually get a new Metroid, hopefully. And that's why I bought the system. I bought it knowing full well that there was going to be a very limited range of software I was going to get to play on it. And that gamepad is just, as much as there's some cool stuff you can do with it, I love the fact that you can play a game on that thing while somebody else is using the TV. That's amazing. That's a great idea. But in terms of actual playing games, I mean, I'm loving Mario Kart right now, but the only thing you can do with that gamepad is honk your horn. And as much fun as that is, it's not a compelling reason to sell somebody that you're not going to sell.
You almost
somebody
just sold me on the 3DS version just by doing that. I almost sold on the 3DS version instead.
It's just confusing. My girlfriend and I were trying to play Nintendo Land because it seemed like a cool idea, and
you had to figure out which controllers you had to use to play which games.
And then I didn't have the sensor bar hooked up, and I'm like, well, what the hell system am I playing here? So we had to get the sensor bar and put that up, and then we had to calibrate the controllers and put them on the counter. And by then, honestly, I was so irritated. I was just like, I didn't want to play this.
It's like you have Wiimotes. Well, that's great, except do you have the Wii Plus remotes? Because if you don't, then you can't play some of the games.
Yeah.
And it's nuts, yeah. There's so many barriers to getting in and actually just playing a game on that thing, and that seems to have gotten less restrictive as they've released new stuff. But yeah, I understand what you're saying completely.
So what you're saying, Rob, is that you think Nintendo's the worst thing they've done is the Wii U. That's their thing.
I think the worst thing they've done is play it safe and release a system like the Wii U. Every time Nintendo has released a new console, it's been a bold move in one direction or another. The GameCube wasn't hugely successful, but at least they tried to innovate with the G-ROM, and they tried to do some online stuff with it. And for better or worse, it didn't, work successfully, but they tried to do something new. Then they did something completely different with the Wii. And this is just a shinier version of the Wii. It's not that difference that we need in the gaming world that we're used to getting from Nintendo. That's not to say the Super Nintendo was so much different than the Nintendo, but I don't think we were at that point yet.
But the argument could be made that playing it safe really would have been just releasing another system that had a normal controller, just like PS4, Xbox One.
They're using the same controller, though. There's no evolution. They're using the exact same controller as the previous one.
There's the gamepad. Regardless of how it's being used, I mean, that's...
Yeah, 3 out of 4 players can't use it.
Yeah, nonetheless, I mean, that's like I don't understand how them continuing to pursue that direction is playing it safe versus building what would be considered a quote unquote normal console. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying, would the more play it safe route not have been, well, let's appeal to as mass a market as we can and make a big black box with a normal controller with 2 analog sticks on it and go to town.
I'm talking about playing it safe for Nintendo. The 100 million unit selling Wii, we basically did the same thing, and our big innovation this time is like an iPad that you get to hang on to. That's the only thing. And by the way, most of the people that you're playing with in the same room won't be able to use that anyways. So I mean, sure, we can.
One of the big things that is such a turnoff, I'm going back a gen, talk about the original Wii. One of the big turnoffs for me was that you didn't have the option in most games to play it as you wanted. Now, let me hang on here for a sec. I mean, the new Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that, you could pretty much play it any way you wanted. But the launch title, I got Twilight Princess like everybody got. And there was no option to play it with a traditional classic controller. And I got to tell you, I returned that copy and I went and found a GameCube copy because I didn't want to sit there and swing my arm with Link. Because to me, it was irritating. I like it for Wii Sports and stuff like that because that's what that game is. But give me Twilight Princess. I wanted at least the option to be able to use a regular controller. Even for something like Tiger Woods, where the motion control is the key feature to the game, I still wanted that feature to be able to use the controller. That's my problem with them.
So I'll throw this out there at you guys. Should Nintendo wipe the slate clean with the Wii U, as some people are suggesting? Should they abandon it and forego the 6-year lifespan? They've already said that they're working on their next hardware, as most companies do. Once the new one is out, they start plans in some stage on the next one. Should they push that release?
No. You're going down the mid 90s route of what Sega did, and ultimately what I believe led to their demise, where you have a Genesis, then you have a CD attachment, then you have a graphic attachment, the 32X, and then there's this, the CD games for the 32X CD. And then you have a Saturn. And you know what? By then, people are just so sick of buying a new Sega piece of hardware. Oh, look, there's a PlayStation. I'm going to go to this brand new console, which is 10 times better than all that anyway. Do you know what I'm saying?
So what you're saying is no matter what, Nintendo is screwed until like 2016 or 2017.
No.
They can't really do anything until then.
I'm saying, listen, we play video games for the games. We don't play systems. We play games. Give me IPs. Give me new games. If you give me a trailer for Zelda and, like Glenn said, Metroid and Kid Icarus and Animal Crossing and whatever else, what we want, I'm fine with that. We just need a little bit more of that. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do. I think for the first time,
I don't think the Wii U's doomed. I don't think it's doomed. I don't.
Well, we will all each have our own idea of what doomed means, but I think for the first time, I don't see an upside to this future. I said before, I'm quite happy with my Wii U. I really like it. But I think there's so many inherent problems in what they have that they can only do so much with what's there. Like Glenn said, 32 gig current system. Okay, they can upgrade that in the future, right? They could do like a 128 or, a bigger version, but that means we'd all have to get bigger versions of the console. They could improve the online experience, but at what cost to us? It just feels like, well, they could give us more games. The kind of games that we're going to get are going to be tied to the inherent problems of the system, which include the gamepad, the storage capacity, and the online modes, that I don't know that it's going to be enough given anytime soon.
Well, storage capacity is already an issue for current gen stuff, for PS4 and for Xbox One, in my opinion. I mean, I know guys that just do digital, which is great, but it's, you know what? I buy a system. I'm old school, man. I want to plug it in and play. I don't want to buy a system and then have to go to the computer store and buy an external hard drive for it and add a bunch of attachments to it. I don't want to do that.
Forget digital. I mean, if you get an Xbox One game and you want to play it, you have to install it on the hard drive first, right?
Yeah, and that's great. You put, Titanfall in or Dead Rising 3 and you can walk away for 40 minutes because you're not playing it anytime soon. That's
between it installing and updating.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's quite annoying.
It's tough, Rob. Like I hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. But at the same time, I would agree with Jay. Like it really comes down to the games. Like there's a reason they're still publishing PS3 and 360 stuff, and it's because people have those systems and they want to play those games, and that's why I don't think you're going to see a complete shift to next gen in the immediate future. I mean, you're seeing the odd title here and there, like the new Arkham game is going to be next gen only, but I think you're going to see that be a rarity for probably the duration of the year at least, and probably into next before you start seeing companies making that shift because the install base just isn't there. But there's tons of people who've had those other consoles for all that time.
Well, there's no reason right now, in my opinion, to buy an Xbox One or PS4. There's awesome games, but there's nothing that's like, okay, well now you gotta have.
And I think if they're going to drop another box in our laps, they've got to. They have to kind of, further to your point, they really have to innovate, Rob. They really have to find a way to sell that to somebody in some way that's very unique and not at all what the other companies are doing. Because I mean, if they're a niche market now anyway, they might as well take advantage of it and try and bring something refreshing to their audience,
Jay,
I guess.
So Jay, this is where I'm going to get curious for you, and maybe now that you've got a Wii U for the second time since the first one you got didn't work out so well.
She died. Yep.
This is where I'm going to be curious with you because you got it for Mario Kart. That was like the system seller for you, clearly.
Yeah.
And how many games will you end up getting for your Wii U? That's what I'm curious. Because that'll tell you if Nintendo is stuck in a certain formula and a certain type of game that they can make for this system that is successful, or if they can innovate with their software alone. Will this be the system where there's only 10 good games? As a gamer, I've said before, I'm fine if I have 10 to 15 games on a console.
I have 4. I have Nintendo Land, I have both Marios, and I have Mario Kart 8. So
and you only like Mario Kart 8 out of all of them, from what I understand.
It's not as black and white as that. The Mario 3D World, it doesn't live up to a Galaxy or a Sunshine or a 64. That's my opinion. I mean, I
think that's a great game.
But you're taking a chunk of a world and putting it in front of you, and you get to play with like a mountain. Whereas
it's a Mario, 3D platformer. It's
in
not
Mario
open world.
64, you get like a lush world, and I think that's the difference. I think that's what I was expecting. So I'm not a huge fan of it. The side scroller ones, you can tell that they're not crafted by Miyamoto anymore. You can tell, and that's unfortunate. But they don't hold a candle to the old ones. I don't know. And the new Hyrule Warriors that's coming out, which is, I guess, not even really made by Nintendo. Was it Koei and Nintendo, right?
Yeah, it's like Dynasty Warriors.
It's Tecmo Koei.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it looks interesting, and I'm all for Nintendo's franchises going in different directions. I'll try it. I'm getting to a certain point, Rob, where I'm just like, E3's around the corner. We're going to see a Zelda game, and that's great, but I know it's not going to be out for like 3 years. It's like, you need to give me that now. I'm starving. I feel like as a Wii U owner, I'm starving for games. You get one first-party game every 4 months, pretty much.
How amazing would it be if they announced Zelda and they showed gameplay and they're like, yeah, by the way, this is out at Christmas?
That would be. I would love it.
It's not going to happen. But I mean, how amazing would that be?
You'll get a little tech demo of it, which is everyone goes crazy for, me included. But I want it now. I need something now. I'm tired of my Nintendo system being a side system. So I have my PlayStation or my Xbox, and then Nintendo's my side one. I miss the days where Nintendo is the center of my gaming world. I miss that.
So, like I said, the Wii brought us all back together to the living room. We hungered for that connection. We were starving for that shared experience. We had that with the N64. It's 8 years later since the Wii. What can Nintendo do to bring us together again in the same space? Is that even their goal anymore?
Just make it easy. Like I said with, when we were trying to play Nintendo Land, it was I mean, I grew up with video games. I certainly know what I'm doing to connect systems, and it was just such a pain in the neck. How about this? Just let me plug in my controller and play and go. I don't want to have to config this, sync that, put a little sensor bar here.
It's funny because when they released the Wii, like when they stripped down that controller to that remote, the whole idea behind it was making it something that was easy and recognizable. Like everybody's used a TV remote, right?
Yeah.
And gesture control is about the most basic thing you can think of. And now what you're saying is almost there's so much in the way of peripherals to actually get into that game now.
Because like you said, it was like the Wiimote, which was great, and then there was the Motion Plus attachment that you needed, kind of like the expansion pack if you're going back that far. And then it was built in with it, and then you could only play certain games if you had it. And now with the Wii U gamepad, you could only use one of those, and it's just... I just want simplicity. I want to play my Mario game. I want to put it on and play and go. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I have an answer for your question, Rob. I will say, like, as much as we're crapping all over Nintendo's online strategy right now, there's a lot of stuff I like about the online community that they built around Wii U. I really, really like Miiverse. I really, really like that sense of community. And like, I boot up my Wii and you see all the Miis on the screen in the background while you're looking at your menu screen, and you see random comments popping up from people over all the games that they're playing. You can get in and comment on the communities. You have people doodling on the touchpad and posting messages. And there's some really neat stuff going on there, like some really neat social networking stuff. And I'm impressed at how... you don't see a lot, like I've seen it, but I mean, you don't see a lot of, like filth and people swearing and people drawing like dirty pictures and stuff. Like it happens, but less so. It's like almost everybody who's using that seems to be in on the, let's keep this kind of innocent and fun and enjoyable. And I like that a lot. And I don't know how they've managed to foster that with that, but I think it's a neat idea. And I think there's something there. I just don't really know where it needs to go to kind of continue being a thing,
Yeah, just to disagree with you a bit there, that's the stuff that I don't like. I
can't stand it either.
I don't like booting up the Wii U and hearing all those bubbles pop and you see all those people. It's like, you know what? I just want to play F-Zero. Oh, there's another franchise I want to see come out soon.
New F-Zero?
Yeah, but like I just want to play my F-Zero game and that's it. And I want to take my 3 buddies beside me, plug our controllers in, and have fun.
Well, I'll tell you, did either of you guys play Wind Waker HD?
I have it. I mean, I have the Zelda version of the Wii U, and I haven't played it yet.
First of all, it looks gorgeous. Like they've did a great job in polishing up that game, and I mean, like the graphic style helps it really, really hold up. It looks gorgeous in HD. But they added an item to the remake called the Tingle Bottle, and what the Tingle Bottle is once you get the Tingle Bottle, you can just go with it. The tingle. Tingle creeps me out. It's okay.
The Tingle Bottle.
What you can do
I
is
feel like there's a that's what she said joke in there somewhere.
And what you can do is you can write messages on the gamepad, put them in the bottle, throw it out in the ocean, and other people in their games can pick up those messages. And it's
Animal Crossing
or Dark Souls.
But it's like people can share, like you have the collectible Nintendo figurines that you had to get pictures of, so people will take pictures of hard to get characters and they'll share them. And you don't share them with anyone specific, right? You just throw them in the ocean and somebody else gets it somewhere. And you can put in messages, you can put in hints, you can put in all kinds of stuff. But it got obsessive for me, sailing around that ocean, trying to find those bottles. Like it was like playing that game with like 300 of your best friends in the same room, because everybody was throwing out their little jokes and their little comments on what you were playing. And it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
So Glenn, you're going to be looking for my Tingle Bobble soon?
Tingle Bottle.
Bottle.
Oh, whatever. Bobble. I like bobble.
I don't want your Tingle Bobble. We got to keep this clean for iTunes.
All right, so guys, this is almost like the E3 question we talked about in one of our other episodes, but maybe a little bit different. You're put in charge of Nintendo. What do you do to change the company? No Metroid answers. What do you do to change the company for the sake of the fans? What do you do to right the so-called wrongs?
When Mario Kart came out last week, it was almost like a breath, like a relief. Like, oh, thank God, this is finally here. Like, thank God. And I mean, every time a Nintendo first-party game comes out on the Wii U, you're like, thank God, so you don't feel so bad about spending the money on the system. Again, It's like, let's listen to what the people want. What do the people want? More games. It's as simple as that. I can't make it any clearer. They need to make more than one of each franchise on a generation. I said it before, but that's my answer.
Glenn, what do you do to right the wrongs other than Metroid?
That's a really tough, because you said, what do we do to right the wrongs for the fans? Like, what do we do for the fans? And the
what will
problem
make
is,
the fans happy to say, yes, Nintendo's back on top because they did this?
Here's the thing. I think the problem with Nintendo's current business model is, like I said, I think the only people who are buying the Wii U are people who are already Nintendo fans. Like I said, we're buying that stuff for games we're potentially going to get. And in that respect, they are really painting in themselves into this corner of just being sort of a niche thing, right? They're going to be able to pop out a new piece of hardware every couple of years, and they'll have their niche titles that people buy the system for. So I don't know that considering strictly their fans is necessarily the right thing to do. But I would say, like, it would make me really happy if at E3 this year we got a couple of big sequels announced. We're going to see a lot of Smash at E3, but give me some Zelda, give me something else big sequel-wise, whether it's Metroid or not. A new Star Fox would be awesome too. I'd love a new Star Fox game. But give me three original IPs. Give me three brand new first-party IPs that are going to be out by the end of Christmas next year. And I would be a really happy man, because I think, like I said, the best thing they do is they make some of the best games in the world. They make some of the best games in the world, and they always build hardware around playing those games. And if your sole claim to fame is going to be making some of the best games in the world, start making more of those games. And Jay says, make more of the same franchises. But I'm also saying, you know what? You guys are great at this. Give us something new. Like, give us something new and give us something original and give us another reason to keep buying your consoles and buying your software.
Should Nintendo release a retro console that plays all of their old cartridge libraries? I bring this up because the Retron 5 has now hit the market, which of course plays the NES, the Super NES, Genesis/Mega Drive, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. Should Nintendo release their own hardware retro thing?
Yes.
They won't.
Why? Here we go. I like it already.
The argument that Nintendo will give you is they already have that, and it's called Virtual Console.
Well, what if this supported the Virtual Console as well? Like a Virtual Console machine box that also played the cartridges.
I think it would be something cool. It would be different. It would be something that no one's ever done before. I mean, you saw weird throwbacks like, what was it, last Christmas, I think, or the Christmas before, where Neo Geo brought out, the Gold X or whatever, which is essentially a shell box of their old console with, I think, about 20 or 25 games in it. And you opened it up, and it was a portable Neo Geo. So you could hook this thing up through HDMI on your TV and then take it out as a portable and take it with you. I mean, that was a wicked idea. And that did great. And Rob, we were talking about if Sega did like the Dreamcast 2, how well that would do. I think it would do well.
How is the Wii U, first of all, not exactly that idea? You know what I mean? How come they couldn't have done that? Which they sort of did, but
I'm
they didn't.
just talking about like throwbacks, like what SNK did, right? But
it's know what, it's too niche a market. It's too niche a market. I don't think you're going to survive in today's video game industry by making a console that's exclusively designed to play games that aren't even available at frontline retail anymore.
I think Hyperkin would completely disagree with you, because that's all they do. I
disagree too. I think you would have developers like Capcom, let's say, with the DuckTales reissue or whatever. You would have developers making these again. Because
let's compare their financials with Microsoft's or Sony's.
But no, you said that it wasn't financially feasible, and it is, because you got companies that are doing this. It's not a competition. It's a completely different market. They're not trying to get the same current gen stuff. And they don't have to deal with a retailer like GameStop that only deals with what's on the shelves now. They're dealing with other people. They're dealing with the mom and pops.
If Sega did a Dreamcast 2, you're going to get such a following of Sega fans buying that system that it would do well. Just like the Neo Geo Gold system sold out. It did extremely well. I think if Nintendo did something like that, they wouldn't have to compete with the PS4, and they wouldn't have to compete with an Xbox One, because now they've created a new genre. I think,
like we said with the later redesigns, right? We said, there's 3 versions of the PS3 and the 360. All this hardware exists. They have it all. It wouldn't cost them much other than to design a box that holds all the slots, and we know it's possible because the Retron 5 has done it. You know,
Look
if
how well
Nintendo brought it out, they would kill Hyperkin. I think that's my prediction. Hyperkin would be done if Nintendo did it right.
Look how well the NES remixes have done, like the first and the second one. If they were to bring out stuff like that for a cart-based system, it would explode. The retro gaming community is so big right now. I mean, it's big in general, but it's just exploding, right?
And give people the option to do the digital virtual console if you want, like you're suggesting, Glenn. I have no problem with them porting it over and allowing an online connectability. The Retron 5 is Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? So why couldn't Nintendo do the same thing? It's just a thought.
Like bands are now, reissuing LPs. I mean, LPs are outselling CDs, which are dead anyway. But you know what I mean? Like, it's old technology coming back again. I think they could totally be successful at it.
I know I would love to purchase a new Nintendo cartridge-based system that basically played all their old libraries. There would be something that much more official, because, Jay, one of the things you and I always say is that the Retron stuff doesn't always work so well.
The only problem I've had with mine is, what was I playing? Lone Ranger on NES, and I remember the music. The music was weird. It just kept cutting out, but for the most part, it works great.
Yeah. Well,
I would like an official Nintendo one, though. Yes, I would.
Yeah. All right, Glenn. Any other thoughts? I'm getting kind of the stare. You're giving me the bug eyes thing.
No, I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I don't doubt for a moment that you guys would love to buy that stuff, but my problem isn't that I don't think you guys would want to buy that stuff. I just don't see a company the size of Nintendo with as much at stake as Nintendo has concentrating their energy on...
No. I'm not saying it's a concentrated thing. I think they continue to do the Wii U, but this is just something else that they put out. Like in China, they're releasing a lower down tiered game box that's going to be Chinese only. They're not putting all their effort into it, but they're putting it out for that market. They're not going to put all their attention to this like this is their next thing. This is just an ancillary product to help drive their nostalgia, which we've talked about that they do well, and to more than anything quash the competition of other companies that are profiting off of their libraries. Why shouldn't they profit off their old libraries?
So are you talking about like something on the scale of like, say, the Red Wii remake box that we talked about a little bit earlier, where it's like limited hardware,
something like that.
Or like, I might be eating my words slightly in the respect that if they can license an adapter to allow you to use GameCube controllers with the Wii U for when Smash Brothers comes out, I guess I can see that perspective and see where that would make sense on some level. But it's going to be something that obviously wouldn't be super mass market, I wouldn't think.
No, I think it would still be, specialized interest and stuff like that. But like Jay said, there's such a not like a resurgence, but just a growing love for everything retro, mainly because of the direction of games nowadays. I think in part, some of them being too complicated, that I think it would sell. And companies like Hyperkin don't keep developing this stuff because it doesn't sell. So there is dollars behind it on some level.
I keep going back to SNK and the Neo Geo, because back in the day, if you had a Neo Geo system, like, you were a badass, because there was, Nintendo and there was Sega systems, and the Neo Geo was like, okay, this dude is a serious gamer. Back then, the games were $2.99, $3.99 to buy each game. You bring out the reissue, a couple years ago, and that thing sold out everywhere. You couldn't get a Neo Geo Gold X anywhere. So a company that obscure made a killing. So if Nintendo or Sega did something like this, oh man, it would be totally successful.
Well, here's the last thing I'll throw. Here's the last thing I'll throw at you, Glenn. There's a company, I believe they're in Europe. They've come out with a one-piece aluminum NES only, and it's like $500. And they've apparently like sold out. I think it's called the Analog NT. It's all original NES parts, but it's crafted from one piece of solid aluminum, and a lot of people are going nuts over it. I think that's a little extreme, but that just shows you what companies are willing to do to tap into this retro market. Next, they'll be making retro-based movies.
I'm all about, the official stuff. I don't know. I'd be more on board if Nintendo did it, to be completely honest with you.
I hope you're going to release the NES Club on VHS, by the way.
It's going to be beta first,
Okay, good.
and then VHS.
Laserdisc?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it sells. But that we'll end it there because this could go on and on with the territory that we're starting to go in. Another GamerCast, ladies and gentlemen, with producer Glenn Stanway behind one mic.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Our video game rock star Jay Bartlett on the other mic.
Thanks again, guys. Keep listening. We'll keep making them.
And I'm Rob McCallum. Looking forward to the next one, guys. Cheers.